This is Tyler Austin from Gungnir Strategic. Thank you so much for watching. In this video, I'm going to briefly go over footwork for cross entries. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing to either my player or my Patreon channels for exclusive content as well as early access to my free content like this. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into it. All right, so quickly, a cross entry is where I'm going to make entry into the room and attack the corner of the room in which I am facing. So right now I am on the right hand side of the doorway. When I make entry, I'm going to be attacking the left side corner of the room. So that's just quickly what a cross entry is, just to make sure everyone understands what I'm talking about. So what this is going to look like is once I have swept and sliced out the room and taken my 90-degree, what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin staging myself back at the narrow, and so that way I can stage myself to make entry and attack that corner. This is a staging position because I want to stage myself in the best position possible and the most efficient position possible to attack this corner upon entry. So what this is going to look like primarily in this case is just going to be primarily my footwork exchange. So right now I'm still in my good set step position where in my footwork what I use to actually slice out the angles of the room. I'm still, when I collapse back to the narrow and begin my staging, I'm still going to stay in that until it's time for me to swap my footwork for the actual entry, which is what this video is going to be about, in particular in regards to making a cross entry. So once I am ready to start prepping myself for entry, I'm going to swap my footwork. So I'm actually going to take my outboard foot in this case, and I'm going to step it back, and I'm going to more or less replace it with my inboard foot. So I go from here with my outboard foot forward. I'm going to step my outboard foot back and step my inboard foot forward. I'll talk about why here in a second. Now, once I've swapped my footwork, if I'm the number one man going into this room, I can keep my muzzle up. I'm going to have to probably short stock it and collapse it as I'm making entry into the threshold. This particular doorway is real wide, but you get the idea. If I'm the number two man and I'm going to give my number one man clearance to make entry, once I swap my footwork, and only after I swap my footwork, do I check my muzzle down or up, depending on what you prefer, to give him clearance. I don't ever want to give him clearance or check my muzzle down and then swap my footwork, because if I do this and he makes entry, now I'm not really in my best footwork to do this, and things can get clunky, and there could be quite a delay in terms of when the number one man makes entry and when I make entry. So we don't ever want to do that. I always swap my footwork if I'm the number two man before giving clearance. So it's footwork first, clearance, and then when the number one man makes entry, I obviously make entry. Okay, kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there. So actually going back to what this video is about, the footwork. So once I swap my footwork and I check down in this case, or keep my muzzle up if I'm the number one man, the reason why I want my footwork like this is because my outboard foot is going to step to the door, and then my inboard foot is going to step through the doorway. So to and through. So it looks like this in slow motion. To, through. So again, swap. If I'm the number two man, check. To, through. And that's the main reason for why I am swapping my footwork like that, because this gives, with my inboard foot forward, it gives my rear foot, my outboard foot, more reach to step center of that door, and it gives me better clearance for my inboard foot to actually step through. I want my inboard foot to step through, obviously, because it just has a better position to actually step through and into the room. It's a better penetrating step, as it's called. So if I'm here and I try to make entry in my set step position, it's a lot more awkward. It's not impossible, but it's more awkward. I almost have to step in with my inboard, step through and through. Again, it's not, or step to and through. Again, it's not impossible, but in my opinion, it's just inefficient and awkward. It's just better to go ahead and swap my feet bang, bang, and make entry that way. So some quick points here. When I am taking my two-step, I want to step roughly parallel with the door. I don't want to, generally I don't want to step closer to the door or to the frame, because I'm compressing myself, and there's going to be a higher likelihood that I'm going to potentially trip, or my inboard foot is going to catch, or my gear, whatever, is going to catch on the door frame. So I want to step roughly parallel with the door to give myself a little bit of clearance from the frame. But with my inboard step, my through step, I want to step as deep into the room as I possibly can. So that way it gives my outboard leg clearance to continue stepping into the room. If I step fairly shallow with my through step, there's a chance that my foot could catch on the door frame, or if I make it through, or my leg makes it through. There's a chance where other things like my gear or my gun, possibly whatever, can catch on the frame. And that's footwork for cross entry. It's not terribly complicated. In fact, it's pretty intuitive once you're shown how to do it. I'm Tyler Austin from Gun Gear Strategic. Thank you so much for watching.